How do you organize a project from start to finish? So I'll give you guys a little sneak peek as to how we organize our projects. And basically, our approach is based off of chunking, where you're taking something really big and breaking it down to smaller and smaller pieces. So I'll give you an example here. Big projects break down into phases or increments. Those phases break down into our weekly sprints, which we have on Mondays and conclude the following week. Those weekly sprints break down into individual tasks. So if we look at our timeline here, on the far left is the beginning of the project, all the way at the end is the end of the project. A project can be broken down into 3 phases, 3 big phases where you have locked milestones at the end of each phase until delivery. Then you just take that, each phase, and you break those down into tasks. What are all the tasks it's going to take for you week by week to accomplish the bigger goal of that phase? So this is what our weekly stand-up looks like. At the beginning of the week, we figure out, here are the tasks that we need to do this week in order to hit our milestone. This is where we assign it to the different team members, making sure they're all right with it, and we make adjustments along the way, right? But we try and put as many tasks in one week as possible, as comfortably possible. It's kind of like a game of Tetris, and we get very deep into this, into the course of like what a short task looks like, what a long task looks like, and how to play that game of Tetris so it fits perfectly week after week, and you're being very efficient with the time.
And if you're solo, you can estimate this based on your past history. And if you're working with a team, you can have them estimate their time, and then you add padding. Of course.
Right. Yeah. Then you add the pattern, right? So that's what your weekly sprint looks like. You're just breaking down tasks. And every time a week goes by, these are usually the sprints that we do. They also align with postings with clients. So we'll post once a week. We'll get feedback early the next week, and that will determine what tasks are on the plate next week.
Yep.
And we keep doing that. So phase 1 is done, completed and locked. That's based off of the waterfall methodology, where you have phases that are dependent on each other. So once the first one is finished, that's done and locked, and you cannot go back.
Right.
Then you move on to phase 2. Locked, go back until you deliver. For those of you guys who are running video projects, 3 phases could look like: phase 1 is storyboarding and designing the style frames. Phase 2 could be the animatic, where you're figuring out the timing, the audio, and basically figuring out all the blocking that you need. And in phase 3 is the animation. So now you're filling that in and you're rendering that to final quality to delivery. And you just break those down into little tasks weekly until delivery. Yeah, and this works for web projects. This works for logo projects. This works for pretty much anything that we've done here. We're doing client services, and it's deliverable based, and we know what the end result needs to look like.
Exactly. So somebody asked, a lot of this seems geared toward teams. What about if we're an individual? Is this still applicable? So
if you're solo, because I use this same methodology for how I plan my week to week, my month to month, quarterly planning, right? So if we break, let's say this project is the year. This year is breaking down into 4 quarters. Those 4 quarters, I have quarterly goals for each one: how much revenue I want to bring in, some of the products or projects I would like to complete, some of the content I want to make. So I just break those down every quarter, and I break those down into weekly sprints for myself, and then I give myself weekly assignments to get these things done. So this works for me solo. No one else sees this, but this is just very helpful for me to organize my own tasks. And that could, if I was just working solo on projects for clients, it would work the same exact way.
I hope you guys got value out of this. And if you want to see more about project management and what it takes to run a creative business, let us know in the comments below.
And if you want to run your projects like a pro, consider taking our course, the Practical Project Management course, which we're leaving a link in the description below.
We'll see you inside.